We said, either we are sovereign or we remain slaves forever. This is another inspiring and electrifying speech by President Ibrahim Traore, where he discussed the challenges posed by imperialism in Burkina Faso and Africa as a whole, and how it can be tackled once and for all. He explained the deep-rooted issues within Burkina Faso and why he made the decision to ask foreign forces to leave in 2023. Traore asserted Burkina Faso's determination to fight against this imperialism and terrorism, highlighting the reorganization and reinforcement of the army. Once again, it is inspiring and uplifting. Listen to it all the way to the end and stay inspired. The African narrative is changing. The time is now. We cannot make a revolution without communicating. Some will say that we should not speak too much, but when we do not speak, then it is the manipulation that takes the lead. Understand something. The father of the revolution communicated a lot. I am talking here about Thomas Sankara. In one of his speeches, he said that imperialism is a bad student. When he left the classroom, he always came back. And I remember that at his address to his friends from ECOWAS, he said that, to break the umbilical cord that binds us to imperialism, do not look for a state magician with pointed fingers and a sharp scissor to break this cord. But rather, you will need a robust butcher with a sharp axe to give a dry blow and break the cord. That being said, I am going to explain to you a little how imperialism behaves. After the assassination of the father of the revolution, the regime that wanted imperialism was established. In the 90s, you all remember a program that was imposed on us, the Structural Adjustment Program. It was a plan. Let me explain. By setting up this program in our countries, you have noticed that over the next 2 decades, all our factories that were in place have been privatized. Our economy has been restructured. They did set up a neo-colonial system, a system of wild capitalism that only benefits the leaders and their friends, a restricted circle. On the side of the forces, they did everything to destructure our armies. They decided to lower the budget of the armies, to no longer equip them. Our armies were reduced to nothing. During this time, the great countries like Niger and Mali have experienced a resurgence of what they called rebellions. Separatists from nowhere have tried to divide this country. They have not succeeded. But the outcome of their plan was that from 2010, that is 20 years later, terrorism invaded our lands. Individuals were chosen and they were told to go and fight them. Their armies are destructured. We have worked for this to happen. They will never be able to stop you and you will impose on them what we want. These individuals have recruited innocent, ignorant young people from different countries to whom they inject drugs and bring them to kill their compatriots. and evil is born. How were these individuals entertained? Do not forget, here in Burkina Faso, we hosted terrorist leaders. It was well planned. And how did it happen that when these terrorists were going to launch, there was someone who could perhaps intervene in favor of our states? I call here General Muammar Gaddafi. He had to be eliminated. And one fine day, they came upon him. They had the ingenious idea of putting all sorts of weapons and ammunition at the disposal of these terrorists who had to destructure our sub-region. The plan was perfect, and from then on, they started a battle order. They started to descend to the south. We still remember when the regime in place in Bamako at the time called on foreign forces. It did not take more than a few hours for them to deploy. They were well prepared. They deployed and pretended to stop the terrorism. And immediately, we saw the deployment of several foreign forces in Mali for 10 years. During these 10 years when the terrorism was contained in the north, it was invited to the south, and Burkina Faso was infested from 2015. Everything was well planned and well thought out. I still remember when we were in Berd, in the north of Timbuktu. We saw special forces from those countries coming to take us deeper. And when they returned, they were all red. They had small drilling machines and many other geological equipment that we can see. We wondered where they got this red. As a patrol around Berd, we don't have red. Maybe they were digging. They were probing. We don't know what it was about. The Malian sky no longer belonged to the Malians. Everything was well thought out. When the people who were fighting on the ground also made the observation, they decided at some point to take responsibility, and they came out of nowhere. They called us putschists. We are not French. We don't understand what that means. And the local valets, who surely don't understand the deep meaning of the word, also call us putschists. Very well, we'll take it. Over the years, as far as Burkina Faso is concerned, you must have noticed that all the corps were destructed. No more training, nothing for the army. They imposed in all our major states, all our schools, and all our strategic structures what they called military councils. When we revolted on September 30th, 2022, the first thing was to find out who these military councils were and where they were. So we were able to identify that the evil was deep. And the first thing was to ask them to leave our army. They left. And what I told you not long ago, you can't hope to find your lost object by calling on those who stole it to come and help you find it. It was then necessary to decide, to take courageous decisions. What we decided to do, it was not without consequences, because when we already asked the party councillors, We felt manifestations. We were made to understand that we would not be able to get by without them. And every time they told us, it resulted in massive attacks on the ground. We received the message well. When in 2023, we decided to tell the foreign forces present here to leave, because we want to fight in Burkina Faso. They did not surely appreciate it. But why come and die on our land for us? We prefer to fight ourselves. We asked them to return home. Unfortunately, I tell you here today, as I like to say, colonization has returned. There are slaves of the salons who still have not understood. In the meantime, military officers wrote to us and approached us to tell us that it was a very bad decision and that we would not last 2 months. Files were written. These files were sent to us to make a strategic analysis of their thoughts. We said, either we are sovereign or we remain slaves forever. Indeed, when the last soldier left Burkina Faso, we understood what it was about. The attacks followed immediately. DU, Tinakov, Partiagar, and so on. But what they had forgotten was that the people of Burkina Faso had understood our message and had engaged in the same way as us. We reorganized quickly, and suddenly, we noticed that all the sleeping terrorists had woken up in Burkina Faso. We reorganized the army as quickly as possible. We created several units. And even if several others are yet to come, we equipped them. And today, this equipment continues. Because in the days to come, in the months to come, what you are going to see in Burkina Faso must make our army a power to fear. We are not going to hesitate about the means. We have understood that the fight against imperialism will be hard, very hard. But only the hard ones will pass. And the Burkinabés are hard, and we are going to pass.